Hey everyone, welcome to the Keeping It Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Bri Bolling, a real estate agent here in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area. And today we're going to talk about building generational wealth through real estate. And I have one of my buyers here, Femi.
Hi,
What's up, Femi? How you been?
I've been good. How are you?
Good. Doing a lot of traveling, I see.
I have been doing a lot of traveling, but yeah.
Yeah, keeping up you on Instagram and seeing you New Orleans.
Yes, I was just in New Orleans, went for the Beyonce concert, did that for
Oh yeah, you had a
with
good
some
time.
of my friends. Yeah, it was an amazing time. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're back. Thank you for coming today to talk to, speak to your experience of purchasing. I think being that we live in the top two and three places to live in the U.S. For first-time buyers, when they finally come into the game, it's really hard to wrap their head around the process. Not only are they accomplishing a major goal, they're also in one of the toughest places to accomplish that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Tell us about what made you want to become a homeowner?
Well, so I I moved to the States for school, and I did that for a few years. Started working, and I stayed in the Raleigh area, and I noticed that the rent kept going really high, and I'm like, okay, I need to be smart in, looking at the future. Since I knew that the job I had was going to keep me here for a while, so it was definitely an investment for me to get a house and, try to not pay. Basically, what I was saying was I don't want to keep paying this high amounts for rent and not have a house. I wanted to be able to come home somewhere that I could stay and call a place of mine,
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to get a house.
Yeah, I guess we said the term to stop paying someone else's mortgage or someone else's, allowing someone else to become rich off of your capital.
Yeah,
right?
basically, and I mean, there's a place for that, of course, but,
Yeah.
like I said, I just got to a stage in my life where I definitely needed to think about that.
Well, I think about when it comes to a first-time buyer, you are pretty much the ideal client because even though you own a home, you're not there all the time. Of course, you work and you still have a travel life. You're still young. You don't have kids. You're not married. But you understood what it meant to go ahead and to invest into yourself, even at your age, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about the process. When we started to look, we put an offer in on more than one home, right?
Correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So the first home we saw, you really liked, and we walked through that day, and we put in an offer.
So I think we should back up a little bit
Yes.
and talk about my personality. I was super laid back. I was like, I just want a house, and I remember you just kept asking, like, what exactly do you want? Do you want a garage? Do you want this? I was like, Bri, just give me a house. But then you broke it down to me about the types of houses that were around, and I had no clue about any of that. When I say I was lost, I was like lost. But all I knew was I needed a house, and you were always like breaking that down to me. So when I found that house, that the first one we put an offer, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing! I love it, love it, love it, love it. And yes, that's how that started with the first house.
And I think, I'm glad you did say that. I guess because I know you, I kind of didn't speak to that, but you were probably an agent's dream buyer, right? But for me, it's more about the end game. Once you share with me what your goals was, what you want, I always envision myself and put myself in your place. And so I continue to pull you back.
Yeah, for sure.
So when we found your actual home, I knew it. I knew it was what you wanted because of what we had discussed and what you were looking to do into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It was amazing because you kept telling me to keep searching, and then I saw the house and I was like, oh, I probably wouldn't get it just based on the location. I was like, there's no way this is available. And then you had, I think it was actually on a Sunday, you were like, yo, I just saw that you liked you put a favorite on one of the houses. I was like, yeah, but I don't think it's good, or I don't think it's gonna be available.
Yeah, yeah.
And you were like, what do you mean by that? You're like, oh yeah, let's go. The next day, we're on a Monday, we're going, and that was how it just happened. And apparently, it was available. So
Yeah, and I think that's important to understand when you're working with the agent. My goal is to keep you on target, to not bring that emotion. Anybody who's in this position is going to have the emotion. Mine is to stay on task, to keep you moving forward. And you're ideally right. Relationships do work in real estate. I'm sorry, guys, but they do. And when I reached out to the agent, it was a hot property, remember?
Yes.
But because of our conversation, he was willing to allow us to make a decision first. And the funny thing about it is they had like 2 or 3 more houses.
That is correct. Yeah. So it wasn't just mine, it was the ones next to me as well. So it was just amazing. But just to what you said, that is true, because again, my personality, I'm super chill. I'm like, you know what? Let's take it one day at a time. And I liked how, because for me, I needed that person to keep me on task. Even though I knew I wanted to buy a house, my timeline was just like nonchalant, but I just appreciated the way you kept me on task throughout, which is very important.
Well, thank
and it
you.
helped me enjoy the process as well.
Yeah, I think from my experience, why our relationship works so well together, and I've always spoke this into the universe each year, I want to work with clients who want to work with me, and the relationship is natural, right? Yeah. Even after I think we close, we've been out to dinner together, we text each other, we check on each other, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's more than just the sale, right? Mm-hmm. It's about, I want you to call me like we do, Bri.
Exactly.
This was next in my life. Yeah, cool. So I guess my question would be, it's never a perfect transaction, right? A perfect process. Hindsight is 20/20. What is something looking back you may have done differently, or when you do get ready to look at your next property, that you may decide, not this time?
So, so maybe I could have been a little bit more involved in the process. Even though I did say that it's my personality, I'm just chill and all of that. In hindsight, and hindsight is always 20/20, now I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should have gotten a bigger house. Which is crazy, because I remember you saying that, like, is this big enough for you? And I was like, oh my God, it is huge. But then now I'm in my house and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should have gotten something bigger. Yeah. But it's just the vain person in me, because I still have 2 rooms that are empty and nothing ever happens.
This is a single person who has a 3-bedroom house, okay?
So, I think it's just hindsight. And I think it's just when you make a purchase. I think the same thing happened with my car, and now I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should have gotten a better car. Just understanding I think it's a good place to be now, because that shows that throughout, from the beginning process to the end, I was comfortable enough, that you made it comfortable enough for me. So now I understand a little bit what to expect. If I'm looking for a new place or an additional place, I know the questions to ask, for example. I know really the survey that's gonna come. I can at least understand those terms. So it's really a good place for me to be at right now.
And so that I echo that, because one of the things I tell my clients when they come aboard, if you don't want to be educated throughout this process, I'm probably not the agent for you. Because my goal is not to do it for you. It's to really empower you to understand real estate is the quickest way to generational wealth. We all talk about stocks. Guess what? Stocks are backed by real estate. So if you can cut the middleman out and just go for the real estate, you'll make your generational wealth a little quicker. and no, it's okay to diversify, right? If you want a little stocks, you want real estate too, but understanding that especially for the younger generation, my goal is to empower our younger generation that the quickest way to get to the bag is through real estate.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. And you always, like what you're saying, like if working with you, you will be educated, and it's true because I don't know if you remember, because I'll always be like, you say a term, and I'm like, okay, and then I'll come back and say, you know what does that mean again?
Yeah.
And can you tell me what that, so it was fantastic, and I know before we started this, I was already talking to you about, hey, I'm looking for more stuff, so it's an amazing place to be.
Yeah, and so I'm grateful. I'm excited to see you grow just over this time, these last 2 years, to see what you're doing. Your life has only gotten better, so I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of me too.
So is there anything else you would give, if it was something you could share, 3 things maybe to future buyers, what tips would you give them?
I'll say be patient with yourself. And by that I mean, okay, I think I remember when we had our first conversation, you were like, oh, so what's your price, or what's your budget? And and I went super low and super ridiculous. And you just you have this way of saying, oh, okay.
Respectfully.
Right. It was so respectful. Like, you didn't dismiss that price point at all. Like, looking back, I was super ridiculous with what I started with, but, again, because I didn't know what I was doing, I was just trying to be like, just as cheap as possible, but throughout, you kept just talking to me about, okay, if this is where the market is at. Yeah, I think you said that a lot. This is where the market's at, this is for where you're looking at, this is what you want, and you provided me options as well. But if you're not a patient buyer and you stick to one specific spot, you're not willing to even compromise at all. It might take you longer, which I don't think that's the best thing for you if you're a buyer, especially in this market. And you might not even get exactly what you want, or what you want, you might have so many people you're trying to compete with. So if you're patient and you're willing to just, okay, maybe I can increase my budget a little bit to maybe get me where I'm closest to, or maybe I can go a few miles away from where I want, I think that would be very helpful. And like you said, just communication is always key as well. That would be the second thing. Just communicate with you, throughout the process, so you're educated enough, so you're able to make educated decisions throughout the process too.
Yeah, I echo what you just said, and especially for my millennials, I understand we live in a text world, right? And there's a place for that. I don't have a problem, but I'm a communicator. So after the second paragraph, I'm calling you. I'm calling you because now we need to.
I appreciate that, because that was me. I was like, I'm gonna just text, and then boom, I got a phone call, and I'm like, okay, okay,
this is time for
it's time for business,
and then we're going to get on the same page and then move forward. Right?
It was very helpful for sure.
Yeah. So I would say the same thing. Be patient. Have realistic expectations. Think outside of the box, right?
Yeah.
And communicate. Let me know where you are. Let's talk about it and work through it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for coming today to talk to, future home buyers and even current home buyers who may haven't been in the market in a while. This is helpful for everyone who's interested in real estate. Yeah. What's next for you?
What's next for me? I want to grow my portfolio, and I want to see if, like you said, generational wealth. I am very interested in adding a few more houses and, maybe be a renter. I don't know if that's the term.
Manager or renter.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking for in that space. Otherwise, you can catch me in the next city I'm in, and just enjoy the ride with me. Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me.
Keep up with what you're doing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, thanks.
Until next time, guys, thank y'all for joining Keeping It Real Estate with Bri, your favorite realtor NC. We have truly enjoyed this time with Femi. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notify button to stay tuned for all things real estate. Have a good one.